Five. Call to order this meeting of the Park City Board of Education. We'll begin with the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And I will entertain a motion for the board to go into closed session for a strategy session to discuss pending or reasonable litigation.
And they can. And, being personnel.
Oh, and personnel.
I make a motion to go to closed for stating those.
Second, all in favor? Aye.
We have to.
Is there a roll
Oh,
call?
okay. Roll call vote, sorry. Susan Goldberg. Eileen Gallagher. Kathleen Britton.
They could be.
Meredith, yes. Leaving. in our Board of Education meeting, and we'll go to the consent agenda, which includes travel requests, check register from December 24th, December board expense report, December board revenue report, a recommendation of something, sorry. On the,
What's the contractor, the CMGC?
yeah, the contractor, yes, that's what I was looking for, thank you. And then, the architect recommendation and another travel.
So we need a motion to
Yes.
approve that then discussions, correct?
Yeah, I need a motion and a second, and then open for discussion.
Okay,
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda as stated.
can I get a second?
Is there any way I can post something?
Then we're gonna have discussion. Yeah.
You get a second?
Second. Okay. Is there any discussion?
I'd like to discuss the architect and the, other one for the CM recommendation.
So take them off the consent agenda and have them as separate business items.
Yes.
So we are gonna pull out the architect recommendation and the CMGC.
Approve the rest of the consent agenda first and then have a conversation.
Yeah, so one board member can say, I want that pulled off for discussion, and that pulls it off. Yeah, and so then, since you got the motion second, so if there's any other comments, then you can approve what is left on the consent agenda.
Any other conversation about the consent agenda? Okay, all in favor of approving the consent agenda with the travel request, everything is stated minus the architect recommendation and the CMGC recommendation. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And you can decide where in the business portion you want to have that discussion.
Let's kick that down to,
Discussion.
yes, sure. Discussion. Okay, and then now we will go into monthly reports. So we started. Yeah. Mary,
Hi, welcome.
welcome to you.
Good evening. My name is Mary Morgan, and this is Shannon Hayes. We are the co-presidents of the Park City Education Association. We would like to welcome all of you to a new year, and we especially welcome our new board members, Eileen, Kathleen, and Susan. Thank you for your service, and thank you for serving our students and our school district. We look forward to working with you in the future. The Utah Education Association, along with PCA, have been keeping an eye on proposed bills coming up in this legislative session, which began today. Over the weekend, House Bill 267 was made public. This bill is sponsored by Republican Representative Jordan Tusher. This bill, as proposed, would revoke our ability to work with you, enter into negotiations for our licensed professional agreement, otherwise known as our contract, and would take away any collective bargaining for salaries. HB 267 will take away any protections for any public employee. For both licensed and classified employees, that means we will no longer be able to discuss or protect our planning time, contract time, rights for lunch breaks, salaries, steps in lanes, working conditions, and work days, just to name a few. It is a power grab to silence employees, which never results in good practices for employees or employers. It will harm public students by undermining the systems that provide them with resources and support to succeed. PCA and UEA ask for your support in opposing HB 267. We appreciate our relationship with the board, human resources, and district administration. We value those relationships and look forward to continued collaboration despite the possible upcoming legislation. With that, we offer a plea for your assistance. There is a petition anyone can sign on the UEA website. Please consider signing that. The initial goal was 5,000 signatures on a holiday weekend, and in less than 24 hours, there have already been over 5,000 signatures so far. Please consider your support to allow PCA and UEA to best support both employees and students, along with our counterparts PCCEA and EIG. As a new national administration comes in, PCA is concerned for the mental health and well-being of some of our most vulnerable populations, including our multi-language learner students, our LGBTQ+ community, and our minority students, whether that be racial, cultural, religious, or ethnic groups. Many are frightened by statements and orders made in recent days that target these specific groups. As we move forward, special attention needs to be focused on protecting our students and ensuring their mental and emotional health needs are met. We love all of our students deeply, and when they are targeted, it is our job to protect them in every way possible. We must live up to our motto, and we all belong, because we do all belong. As always, PCA appreciates your time and for continuing to work with us during both easier times and the
Petition one,
Thank you.
Good afternoon. I am Jen Branston. I'm the Vice President of the Park City Classified Employees Association. Gina Cox is our president. She is a bus driver, so she will not see her here very often. It just doesn't work out that way. We are so excited to be working with you all. It was great to see you all in my school today and get to meet you and just get new relationships building. We're hoping that sometime we can set up some meetings, PCCA, ERG, PCEA, to get to know you all and share ideas of where we hope to go together with you. We really value our relationship with the board and superintendent, and really appreciated being included in that meeting today. Things have been great for classified. We do have a little unease at Treasure, just with people waiting to see where they're going to go, but we had a great conversation about that, and I think we can really reassure our members. I am on the same page as Mary. I spent the entire weekend looking at HB 267 amongst other bills. You know, this really is going to affect everyone, but it is really going to affect our ESPs. Nationally, they are the lowest paid people in the school district. The average pay for a paraeducator in Utah is $13 an hour with no benefits. We are the example for the state at what we pay our ESPs, and I'm very grateful and proud of that. But without the ability to negotiate for even policy to represent these people, I mean, it's going to destroy unions, and I just really think everyone needs to ask why. What is the purpose to this? You know, it's not just us. They're going after police, firefighters, and other public employees. So we just really hope that you can support us. I know I'm going to spend some time at the Capitol.
Be down there on Monday.
I see Meredith there. But just really encouraging the public in Park City particularly to really write some personal letters about how this is going to affect you and how you support education and police and firefighters. We really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Jen.
You have on the boat? Take it away.
As of right now, there's not much going on. We have winter formal on February 1st. The theme is carnival. It will be from 7th, 9th, 10th, and 8th graders and 12th graders are all invited. And we just started planning Wish Week today, which will take place in March.
I'm sorry, is it Wish Week?
Mhm.
Remind me what goes on during Wish Week.
We raise money for
Alright.
a cancer patient to grant their wish.
Thank you. Okay, now we are moving on to item 5 of discussion. I don't know. That's all.
Reports, yeah.
Oh, all right.
So, sorry. So we're doing reports a little bit differently, Mr. Tanner, uploading, his report for y'all to review. Are there any questions you'd like him or Mocha to address?
Well, I think now is when we can look at those two things that we just pulled out.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yes, okay. So Kathleen, what questions do you have about the?
So basically, I just wanting to, after reading these two memos that Mr. Tanner submitted is, I would like to see some sort of backup of how we determined this, what are the architects had submitted their information for that and for the general contractor. I just would like to be able to review some of that and see how the policies and procedures were adhered to do that.
What point would you like to do? Would you like me to explain the process tonight to you?
Yeah, if you'd like to come up and explain us the process, that would be great.
So there is a state mandated procurement process for RFPs,
Mhm.
and we follow that process to the T. Gary, our purchasing agent, guided us through that process, make sure that we were filling out all the appropriate forms and soliciting bids the correct way. We had 4 proposals coming from architects, 3 from builders. We had a team of 6 people who were put together to review those packages independently and to score them. We met last Thursday to finalize that review and scoring process. And out of that process came a set of scores, which I could certainly share with you, that were that pointed to the winners in our mind of that of those proposals. There's justifications for each one of the selections that we prepared. I have that documentation there as well, if you'd like to see it. And it's all above board. It's a very scripted state process that we follow very closely.
So, did you write the RFP or did we have our purchasing who wrote the RFPs?
It was mostly written by Mocha, JD, our team member who was our owner's rep for the project, who we hired via consent agenda in the previous board meeting. After that board meeting, Mocha got together with us and put a proposal that we then reviewed and modified to meet the needs of the district, and that's what we used as the RFP tool.
And then your committee of 6 people, were they random from the district or how was that determined?
There were people who I selected who were familiar with basically architects and general contractors and had worked on construction projects before. One was me, one was Randy, one was JD from our owner's representative Mocha, who has been in 30 years in this business. Colby, and then we also got Colby Pierce and Ty Hanson.
And Jamie Sheets.
I'm James, sorry, Jamie Sheets.
Jamie Sheets from the
Athletic
high school.
director was invited.
And so if it's public knowledge, if people wanted to pull this up to review it, they could come into the district
Yeah,
office.
it's certainly grammable. I'm happy to share it with anyone. We do routinely get some inquiries back from the vendors who were not picked, who were not hired for the RFP process, who might question the process, and of course we respond to them. I've got one request from an architect who put in a bid, who wants to know how they can make their next bid better. We have another who wants to look at the scores and look at the results, and we're happy to share.
Did you use the same process for the construction companies too then?
It's the exact same process that we use for all of our RFP processing.
Okay, great, thank you.
So that needs to be business item as well, right?
Oh,
Or was it
okay,
written
we
in
can
business,
approve
you want to
that.
do this now or later?
That we pulled it out.
So you could,
we
since
can-
you already discussed it, you could entertain a motion to approve the architect and synergies. Yeah.
Yes, I feel comfortable with it.
Good, thank you. All right, I will entertain a motion to approve those 2 items that we removed from the consent.
I make a motion to approve those 2 items.
All in favor, or any, is there any more discussion? Can we ask for this?
Sure.
Any discussion again? No, just making sure everyone has an opportunity to discuss. Okay, all in favor? Aye. All right.
So both Stacy and I have a presentation, but mainly it's the principals.
Okay.
So I'm gonna suggest that for their time, because they were looking to go earlier and they got the schools to open, that we jump right into our principals sharing, some mid-year data. and
Love
feedback
it.
for you.
Join us, principals.
It starts with high school and then goes to pre-K, so Roger.
Roger.
Present first.
You have that slide that you're showing.
Sure.
I can be very brief.
Hello, everybody. Welcome. Happy guests. All right, well, we've got a couple of things that we're really working on. Accountability at the high school level is incredibly important. We want to make sure that we are getting our kids prepared for that next level for secondary school. And I just want to share a couple of data points that we have. This year, we have 668 kiddos taking concurrent enrollment classes on our campus. Our students are taking 4,400 credit hours through UVU University here. And we offer 37 different classes that the students get college credits for. And we've increased those numbers by 10 to 15% in each of those categories. Our AP numbers look similarly good. We've increased our number of students to 10,000, 1,022 students this year are taking at least one AP class. We have 110 different sections of AP classes, which is and we're going to be offering 2,061 exams. We have 29 different AP classes. So we are getting kids ready. The last several years, we've been increasing our pass rate while making our availability in APs, increasing our availability by 40%. So we're doing really well with that. But one of the other things that we're really working on is how do we help our students recoup lost credits? If they don't pass a class, how do we follow through with that? And so we've got several things that are going on. Right now, our school uses a program called Edgenuity. And so what happens is a student fails, they come and take this online course so that they can recoup it. It is my belief that they don't get as great of an education. So we're looking at alternatives, working with teachers to make sure that they learn the material, doing progress check-ins all along to make sure that students, we're trying to avoid them from failing in the first place. So that's kind of what we're doing. Those are the two goals that we're working on this year. The picture on the left is just a picture of one of our students. She's a sophomore. She's in the Dream Big program and she's on the AP Scholar Award. That means that she's taken at least 3 APs and has an average of and has passed all 3 with an average of over 3, which is really impressive.
What's the average per student in the APs?
I don't have an average of what the average
The most taking one, and is it?
So last year, we had 93% of our students took either one AP or one concurrent enrollment class. 87% took at least one AP class. So, and a 79% pass rate on those tests.
Most are taking multiple. You try to encourage every student to at least take one concurrent one or one AP, but most take plenty more. Treasurer.
Good afternoon, everyone. Isaiah Flower, I'm serving as co-principal with Mr. Ben Mueller. We have several instructional focuses this year. Our primary one is increased academic language production. So I'm speaking primarily towards this picture on the left. What that means is we want to increase students' use of academic language using tier 2 and tier 3 vocabulary. We want them to use it accurately and fluently throughout the subjects and classes they take. And so I guess 3 celebrations to let you know where we're at mid-year. The teacher on the left is Adam Lorenzo. He's our primary and one of our multi-language learner teachers. We've been utilizing him to implement some of our in-house professional development, plan on leveraging him a little bit more for all of our staff to use strategies that are not just good for his students as multi-language learners, but that transcend specific subjects or classes or otherwise. So he's been excellent. And then two other things. We don't have any empirical data for you tonight. Our assessment stuff will be rolling out over the next few weeks, but just observationally, we have a large cohort of students that have entered this year that have not been able to speak English at all, like from France, Mexico, Colombia, otherwise, a very large cohort, one of our biggest in recent years. And their progress from August to now is exceptional. It would make you tear up. They're able to speak conversationally in English. They're able to engage with school. It's very, very impressive and great work from, again, Ms. Lorenzo and Ms. Weiss. And then the second thing that you would notice if you were to audit Canvas pages or guided notes or to look at classroom walkthroughs, you would see word walls, sentence stems or otherwise. And so there is an emphasis on language production that we hope, again, will prove fruitful just in the coming weeks. And so good stuff is happening.
Sorry, please, you said the cohort of non-native English speakers.
Yeah.
Is sizable, how sizable? How many kids we talking?
If I'm estimating, I'd say about 14, but that's just like top of mind. I'd have to look for a specific number, but yeah, it was quite a few students that entered this year, both 8th and 9th graders that are like brand new to American schools and learning English.
Okay, do we see that corresponding in other schools as well? Yeah. Similar numbers?
Not that high, but yes. Per school, not that.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Amy. Part 2.
Good evening, members of the board. So I'm going to talk about this second photo. Our strategy towards implementation of a cell phone free school day for your new policy was the grant that we received and the implementation of the yonder pouches, which are hugely popular amongst students. They love them. So, on our end, some data, as I was crunching some numbers, we look at this, from our end, Mr. Falana, I look at this in terms of incidents. And when I'm talking about incidents, we're talking about, change of placement incidents. So in-school suspension or out-of-school suspension for students. Q1 this year, we had 6. Q1 last year, we had 19. Q2 this year, we had 12, and Q2 last year, we had 33. So not wholly attributed to it, but what we don't have is we don't have students walking out of classrooms, picking up their phones, looking at what somebody sent during class and then responding. Anecdotally, we don't have students going to the counseling center and needing to mediate an issue that they've had going on with their friends. And the photo that I wanted to post, but I couldn't because we don't know which students' parents didn't fill out or opted out of having a photo published. Photos in the lunchroom of kids just interacting with each other. You see 1 or 2 screens open like on a laptop, but you're not seeing kids' faces down on phones. They are actually interacting with each other. So we're very pleased with this effort so far. Again, a lot of anecdotal evidence, but the data changes in placement also speaks for itself. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, I'm Dr. Garrett Rose and I'm principal at Ecker Hill Middle School. It's really hard to encapsulate in 2 pictures all the things that are happening at our school. So what I put up here was where our focus has been with our school leadership team and focusing on tier 1 instruction and tier 1 instructional strategies to help proficiency growth and also growth across the board. So when I posted these pictures back in December, we were working as a school leadership team on exit tickets so that students could be able to summarize what their learning was for the day and to see if it was matching those learning targets. And in the picture on the right, we have some students that are in the midst of doing that, giving a great pose there. But on top of this, so currently what we're working on with our tier 1 instructional strategies with our school leadership team is we were noticing an issue with vocabulary. So what we do is every meeting that we have, we say, what are some of the noticings that we're seeing? What are some of the areas where students are struggling? And what are some of the strategies that we can put in place to help them improve? So we've moved on from the exit tickets. Some teachers are still using this. And what the goal is each one of these, if we find a successful tier 1 instructional strategy, that gets sent out to their PLCs and shared out throughout the school. So there's another tool in the tool belt. It's not saying that everyone has to do this exit ticket or everyone has to do this sentence scramble, which is what we're currently working on. And I did go over some numbers today. We just finished our middle of year iReady, and we jumped about in reading, we jumped 8% from beginning of year to middle of year in proficiency scores. And in math, we jumped 6%. So we're hitting those targets. Last year, we had a banner year with our RISE scores in all 3 areas. I want to say it was respectively 12% growth in ELA, about 6.5, almost 7% in math, and almost 13% in science. And so things are happening, but we also want to focus on our bubble students, the students that aren't quite at proficiency. Are we matching the growth that's expected, and are they going above that? Are they hitting that high expectation? So those are some of the things we're focusing on. Tomorrow we have our schools to watch for redesignation. We're really excited about that. We have a ton of student-led activities that are going to happen throughout the day for the schools to watch committee to view and see all the awesome things. We're 100% behind We All Belong. We've hit that really hard with our advisory, making sure that our kids are feeling not only that they are safe academically, but they're socially safe as well. So those are just a few of the things. I could go on for another 20 minutes about all the wonderful things happening at our school, but those are the things that we were focusing on.
Good evening. Hi there. Some familiar faces, other new faces. I'm Sean Keenan. I've had the pleasure of being at Jeremy Ranch Elementary School for a very long time. Not everybody gets that opportunity, so I feel very fortunate. And I appreciate the opportunity to meet you all. I do have a couple pictures up there that kind of represent a little bit of what happens at school. And the two of our academic goals are up there as well. The one on the right has to do with how we measure the improvement that our students are making in reading. And that's a wonderful goal for an elementary school because that's primarily what we do. We help students to learn to read, and then we help students learn from reading. And then we throw in some math, and we throw in some science here and there, but that's primarily what we do. And we do have a number of ways to measure students' improvement in reading. So it's a good goal that reaches every child in the building. The picture on the left, I appreciate because it's an opportunity to see the teamwork that happens at Jeremy Ranch, and I'm sure across the district as well, because it is a very difficult job. And we all do better when we work with others. That happens to be the 5th grade team, and it's the largest team that we have in the school. And they also are the grade level that has the most responsibility for test results at the end of the year. So I thought that would be a good image to bring into this. The goal below that picture is all about our multilingual learners. And that is the single greatest challenge that we face at Jeremy Ranch. And I very much believe that that it gets measured, gets managed. So we really focus a great deal of our efforts on trying to reach that population of students and help them to grow as much as possible. We struggle a little bit. I struggle a little bit with this. Crafting a goal that addresses appropriately the growth that we're trying to achieve with our multilingual learners. So this is the second year that we've tried a goal that focuses on their performance and improvement on their WIDA composite scores. We didn't hit the mark last year, and I'm hoping we hit the mark this year, but I think we're also going to have to rewrite our goal for next year in a way that is perhaps more easy for everybody to understand and follow. That's about all. I mean, like Garrett said, I can sit here and blather about school for the rest of the night. I don't want to worry at all. Step away. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Angie Duffner, principal of McClellan. And the two pictures that I have here, of course, we have more than two goals, but we'll just talk about these two. One is at McClellan, we have a larger MLL population. And it is very important for us to really focus on growth with our students, especially when a lot of them do come in as newcomers. And the growth is what we call annual yearly progress, AYP. And students come in and take the WIDA exam or the access exam in kindergarten, first grade, and they get what is called an AYP goal. If you make your AYP goal, then you should exit WIDA by 5th grade, as long as you're starting in kinder or first grade. And so it's really important at our school that every student make their AYP goal, because we know that's gonna be how they're gonna exit. And so we have a goal here that 60% of our students will hit their AYP goal. And that goes along with our district goal that we will be exiting students from the WIDA system by the time they've been here for 5 to 7 years. So how do we do that? We do that through a lot of small group teaching. Our teachers are really conscious about when they're teaching in tier 1, which is what everybody gets, that they're scaffolding and they're bringing vocabulary, sentence starters. That's always, we want them to be able to access tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. So that's the first one. The second one is our building in particular has really taken on making sure that we have a robust tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with what that is, but tier 1 is for all, tier 2 is more about what each individual child needs, and tier 3 is either a remediation or at their case level, at their enrichment level. And so we've really concentrated on tier 2 and tier 3 this year. We feel like it's important for the tiers to align. And we know we've had tier 1 instruction, we've had tier 3 instruction, but with the implementation of our new 95% and wit and wisdom, one of the big reasons we purchased that and adopted that was because it met all 3 tiers, tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3, and there's an alignment, which we know is not only great for our MLLs, but all students. And so this shows a picture of working with tier 2 or tier 3 students in small group. And you'll notice like, oh, why do they have iPads? So part of the 95% program is what we call RAP, and that's tier 3. And the students, it is specifically aligned exactly to what the student needs. So it's really funneled down, and we can really understand what that student needs at a tier 3 level. And we can also align that to our tier 2 instruction. So everything's just really in alignment, and the cognitive load for a student is lifted a little bit because they don't have to remember 5 different ways to say something, because everything is aligned. They use the same vocabulary throughout the tiers. Any questions?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, I'm Kim Rao. I'm really excited to get to know those of you that I don't know well. I'm principal at Province Park, and we have a lot of amazing things going on at Province Park. We are really focusing on the whole child, meaning the social emotional well-being of the child, and also how that impacts academically. So we have implemented, we're in our 2nd year of conscious discipline, full school, which really is an adult first model, and it teaches the adults how to self-regulate. So then you in turn can self-regulate a child and you don't escalate them. Since we started this, we have seen an incredible decrease in behaviors, but more importantly, we're seeing a higher increase of students available to learn, that would account for a lot of our test scores. We experienced great growth last year, and I really believe it's because we as adults have learned how to help our kids be ready to learn. Because if they're not available to learn, it doesn't matter how magically you are as a teacher. So I just wanted you to know that's kind of a background of that. Has the social emotional well-being. We're really seeing incredible things there for that. Our goals, the ones that are up here on our slide, one is that targeted and tier small groups, they're provided to every kid, every child in every class throughout the week. This has been a huge shift to kind of help the teachers learn how to differentiate. And again, when those kids are available and you really target that instruction, regardless of what it is, language, math, or reading, kids will respond. And if they know what they're supposed to learn, they're gonna meet you halfway. So that has been a real big push at Powys Park, is let the children know what they're supposed to learn. And a majority of them will go, oh, okay, I'll learn that lickety split. So that's been made a big difference. And then, the other picture is our little fifth grade team right here. Our grade level weekly PLCs are really meaningful. They're very much, engaging. This is a little picture of one of the teachers actually modeling to her teammates how to navigate the ALO platform. So we have a lot of side by side amongst themselves. And this has made a huge difference because we have actually, in the last couple of years, really dove in and had the teachers understand the standards, which sounds silly, but like you need to understand the standards, so then you know how the program fits into the standard. And so that's been a little bit of a shift at Parley's. Not so much program dependent, but like if you know the standards really deeply, then you can, the programs, it makes more sense. So that's what we're doing. We're having a great, seeing a lot of growth, and my biggest celebration as principal is the climate and culture on campus. Because if people are happy to be there and they feel like their needs are being met, then the adults, then they're much kinder and more available to respond appropriately to children. Any questions?
There, my name is Tracy Clark. I am the principal at Trailside Elementary. Going to be the fourth elementary, we are four pretty aligned, so I won't explain a lot of the things that they have talked about, but one of the things we're really focused on and excited about, and we talked about, is that small group alignment and having our tier 2 instruction tied to a curriculum and really thought out. And students, a lot of times when we were trying to see, how to meet their needs, everyone was doing it a little bit differently, and now we have an aligned curriculum, so it's 95%. So we can drill in and say, okay, you're struggling in reading, but what part of it? Oh, you can't do vowel consonant-y? Okay, we're gonna target that for a month, and instead of just like, work on reading, what does that mean? So we've been able to really target this year, and that's been across the board, and we've seen great growth. We have great data to show that they're growing, so that's been really fun for us to really feel like we're targeting every student's needs. And then we're also working on PLCs, as Kim mentioned. We are really focused, and I think at Trailside, we've done a really good job of collaboration and understanding our standards. And with our new programs, the Wit and Wisdom was adopted this year for kindergarten through 3rd. So we're taking our time in PLCs, like today, we spent the day looking at, okay, what is the endpoint? What is your assessment that you're trying to get to? Okay, let's look at how do we make sure that we're there, but by the time we get to that lesson. So teachers discussed, okay, they need to write a complete sentence in kindergarten. And what does that include? Okay, how are we going to practice that? What is, and so it's been really nice to have, again, a consistent program that the teachers can refer to. And then we spend our time together really diving into it so they understand it well. So the teacher knows what it is, so the students can know what it is clearly. So those are kind of the things we're focusing on at Trailside.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Everybody, I'm Dan Geller in the preschool. I'm going to talk to you guys briefly about language and play. We align our goals to some district goals. We have a goal for our multi-language learners to increase their English proficiency. And what that looks like for 3 and 4-year-olds is verbal output. I was in a classroom earlier this school year and took some data on kids during play. I was at a writing center with 3 girls, 2 of which were MLL. In 10 minutes, 1 girl said a 5-word phrase, a 3-word phrase, and 8 one-word phrases. The other girl said 8 one-word phrases. I walked across the room and there were 2 English-speaking boys playing Legos, and in 5 minutes, half the time, they said 22 5-word phrases. So that's our gap, and that's what we're trying to target in early childhood, is that language output. A great way to do that is through play. And play isn't just letting the students play independently. There's different types of play. We focus on student-led play, where the teachers are down on the level, they're co-regulating, they're noticing, they're labeling what they're seeing and increasing that interaction. And then there's picture-led play, where the teachers are embedding standards into the learning through interest areas. And Jen, one of our great preschool teachers, likes to use the phrase camouflage learning. So the learning is happening during play and we're layering all this incredible language on. Another teacher talked about like an experiment. So we're not in a lab working on science equipment, we're experimenting with language, with social skills at play. So those are the two main focuses for our program, and we're really excited to update you as we continue to grow. So thank you.
Thank you.
Just want to thank the principals for coming in.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. Appreciate it.
It's gonna be good.
Yeah, you will. On the superintendent report, I know that Stacy has a couple of mid-year data. I'm gonna just highlight a couple of things that it has been uploaded, so you can look at some new pictures of board members to take a look at that. But if you scroll to, I believe it's on the leadership slide. One thing we are talking about as right here, perfect. Building trust, as you all have articulated, something that we've been talking about for the last few months, and we're focusing under the 3 C's of trust. And I think it's a critical model. People trust you if they know you have all 3 of these things. 1 is that you care, 2 is that you have the character, and 3 is you have the competence to actually deliver on what you're suggesting. And if you take away any of these C's, people will not trust you. You can't just have care and character, because if you can't actually get it done, people don't trust you to do the job. And you can have all the character and competence you want, but if people don't feel you care, they will not trust you. So as an admin team, as we're framing our conversations, how we're moving forward, know that we're aligned in trying to continue to build trust. For our admin, for myself, it's not just with the community, right? It's all of our staff that we oversee and our students. So that is a framework that we're using and wanted you to become familiar with it, because many of you have spoken to the importance of building that trust. And I think it's the best framework I've ever been exposed to. So we're utilizing it in what we do. And if you want to scroll to community alliances for me, again, we'll skip through a few. This is something I'm very excited about that we are launching, and it's in partnership with the Community Foundation. They've said, hey, we want to come alongside you. This issue, when you talk about the OCR complaint and hate speech and racism, anti-Semitism, sexism, whatever ism or hate speech element you have, they've really said, hey, we want to partner in this. And we believe that together we can eradicate hate. So we have the We All Belong Kindness Awards. And the goal of these awards are at a student level to really lift up the student-led initiatives and teacher-led initiatives above and beyond what the district is currently doing. And it includes cash prizes, which we're really excited. The Community Foundation, in partnership with the Education Foundation, but the Community Foundation really said, hey, we have some money that we want to support this initiative with, which includes a grand prize of $2,500 for a winning student at the end of the year, and also an educator $1,000 award for grassroots things that all of our educators, teachers, and staff are doing to make an impact on hate speech. Each month, though, there are prizes, and we have students winning the kindness award every month. And it's at the elementary level, these might be more simplified tasks, but this is not only, even though it's important, saying one nice thing or opening the door for someone. This is truly looking for the students who are going above and beyond to eliminate the hate speech on the back end. So we're really excited to see about this development, and we're incredibly grateful for the Community Foundation saying, hey, we want to walk with you in this and be a partner with you in eradicating hate speech. And so this is happening now, and it's been launched in the schools we speak. And I want you to be aware, we're really excited about this initiative.
Do we have any?
Sorry?
Do we have any demonstrable impact?
I would say too early to know, but at the secondary level, it'll be fun just to get student feedback as this becomes more and more of a thing. But we're doing it at the elementary level as well. So it'll be all data that we track in our Guardian system, looking at obviously the incidents that occur, but we'll have data on it, but too early. It just was launched. It's just being launched as we speak. So in the last 2 weeks, it's been being layered on and introduced and talked about for our students.
Is this kind of, in terms of the student nominations, the opposite of a blue sheet?
Yes, there you go, right? So there's recognition for students doing, and nominations can come, it depends on the levels, but nominations can come from students for other students. They can also come from educators to other students. And again, the elementary level likely will look like more behaviors. Not that they just based on age development at the secondary level, we're looking for students who are even going above and beyond. We want kind gestures, kindness wins. We believe that if student leaders, they don't have to have a formal role, but want to step into a level of leadership around eradicating hate speech, they need to be awarded for that. And they might have some of the best ideas along the way, so. Very exciting.
But educators can recognize that. as well.
Absolutely,
It's not-
and educators are also recognized, and there's like I said, there's a $1,000 award that the Community Foundation will be giving to a winning educator at the end of the year. Yeah, very excited, and feel free at your convenience to scroll through the rest of it. I'll keep things moving because I know Stacy's here with some
I
of your
just
data.
have 2 data points to share, but I wanted to say thank you for receiving the principals here. It was a great opportunity for them to be able to share with you the collaborative work that they're engaging in. They conduct their own PLCs for secondary and elementary. They look at data, they look at their practices. And
Remind us what PLCs are.
Oh, a
We get a lot of
professional,
acronyms
that's a
thrown around.
lot of word salad.
Yeah.
Yeah, professional, and you can say that to me anytime, okay? Professional learning community, so it's that collaborative practice where you come together, you look at the evidence of your work, you see what you're doing, you make sure your work is aligned, and that you can increase your instructional leadership through that. So for the slideshow that they created as part of their principals collaborative, which we convened that in August. We said we're gonna get together in December, mid-year, check ourselves to see where we're going on our goals. And then at the end of the year, we will reconvene as a group of principals. That doesn't mean we're not having admin business meetings. We meet monthly. But where we're really focusing on what those school goals are, how they're aligned with our district strategic plan, with the school improvement plans, which each school creates each year. And in April is when you see next year's school improvement plans. So we can kind of be oriented. Like, it looked like a lot of numbers today, but you'll see them, and they work with their school leadership teams and their school community councils to create those school improvement plans. So, thank you for engaging in. When I grow up, they can do cool things. On this, I just have 2 slides to share with you for a mid-year check-in and data points. Roger was talking about concurrent enrollment. My slide is just focusing on the increases in concurrent enrollment, participation and success from last fall to this fall. But the main thing is across that bottom line. So in semester 1, Park City students got $1.09 million worth of tuition credits from
Just year to date.
concurrent enrollment in 1 semester. Yes.
Absolutely not.
Is this
Yeah.
like University of Utah rates? I mean, obviously it depends.
So this
Okay.
is UVU rates.
Oh, UVU rates, okay.
UVU
That's even better,
Because
yeah.
that report came out of UVU. So that's just first semester so far. Things are heading in the right direction, and like Roger talked about, our AP is staying strong. And we do have good participation in all segments of our population. So we're talking about multilingual learners or students who might not have been quite on track, but they are participating at very high rates in this. So that's a big win. The next slide is to come back and just, in the state of Utah, our K-3 literacy is one of our goals at state level, in our district level, at our school level. I was a little worried as we put in 95% for reading, K-3, wit and wisdom for ELA instruction and content and writing, and then our early intervention software program of Amira. That's a lot. That was a big bite to chew for K-3 instruction. But our K-3 teachers or interventionists, everyone, as was mentioned multiple times here tonight, has labored like heroes to work really hard. And I was concerned that between beginning of the year and middle of the year, just for reading, that we would see an implementation dip. Now, when you're starting new things tend to fall off. So what we can see is if we look at the green and the blue, we can see that 57% at the beginning of the year in, third grade were close to reading at grade level, that blue benchmark. But it went up to 63% by mid-year. We ended the year at 64% with like 84% of ours in the green and the blue last year. So we are still heading in the right direction. I see that our red and our yellow stayed steady at the 21%. And that is the place where we want to attack. That's why we're trying to coordinate our efforts. We've invested money and training and time and all of this stuff because we are trying to move the needle on that. But I just wanted to check in with you and let you know where we're at as a very preliminary pulse taking of where we'll be when we finish year one of this evolution. Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Yes, we're gonna skip the policies for posting and all that good stuff, and go ahead and take public comments. Since it seems like we have a few folks here, and so I'll just, as written. Yes, right. So the Board of Education wants to hear input from community members at our meetings. And in order to respect and preserve the time allotted for each presenter on the agenda, each speaker will be limited to 3 minutes. Speakers representing a group will be limited to 5 minutes. And the Board of Education expects that all public comments will be polite, respectful, and accurate. And please refrain from specifically identifying personnel. Personnel issues are not appropriate for public comments, and therefore such comments will not be allowed. So let's see, we've got Stephen Fox. Okay, to talk about elementary DLI.
Hi there. First things first, thank you kindly for the opportunity to share a thought, and to everybody for your various service leadership. So number one, encouragement. I basically just had a question, picking up on what we've heard from all of the principals. I serve as the chair at the school community council with Roger at the high school, and I also have 2 children who attend elementary school here in Park City. And the multiple language learning puzzle seems like a challenging sort of educational thing to solve. And I guess where I wanted to ask for y'all's kind of consideration is specifically around if you have a high multitude or a preponderance of your multiple language learning students speaking Spanish, why is it at 2 of our elementary schools we provide French? So I understand that maybe one answer to that is like, well, that's how we always did it, which I understand with love, and I would just.
Spoken like a Frenchman.
And I would just posit that it would be interesting to enter into, especially with new board members, some kind of a consideration that may result in, hey, actually, we're gonna keep French, you know, French beats out Spanish at those schools. But then another way to think about it might be to, hey, take this up for question. And one thing I wanted to encourage and celebrate is I really was grateful as a community member, parent, that y'all put out a survey about the superintendent questions. Similarly, I wondered if it might be at some point reasonable to survey parents in the district of if they would prefer that we offer French or Spanish. And then lastly, I'd just like to kind of give it just a kind of a thought experiment. Just kind of imagine your family arrives in our district and you hear, oh my gosh, there's a DLI program in Park City. This is so cool. And so if you're lucky enough to land at two of the schools, my goodness, it turns out you're gonna have amazing sort of connectivity and you're gonna be able to be educated in your native language as part of your day, like really beautiful offering. And then if you don't happen to be in those two, actually not only will you not be able to learn Spanish, but actually there's another whole other language. So that's what, that really feels like that's where you get to the M in multiple language. Like some of these kids are saying, hey, we should probably learn 3 languages. So just wanted to put that on your sort of agenda, just as one parent kind of requesting, what would it look like to have those schools be teaching Spanish instead of French, considering all of the MLL challenges the principals shared. Thank you for your time, leadership.
Thank you. I was saying, Stephen's not the first person to raise this issue. I think it has bubbled up before and.
Yeah, the history of that was tied to the Olympics, wasn't it?
Olympics.
I don't have all.
No,
of
it
this.
was-
It
We have a
was
sister
out
city.
Courchevel is our
Courchevel,
sister
sister
city.
there's a lot. Very-
We do still have a very high demand for French. I mean, I can just say that, that is, at the schools that offer French, it's not like that's a dwindling, program. But, I mean, I'm not discounting your concerns that you're raising.
I would.
Yeah. Um,
Also, wouldn't
And
it be so powerful if you just asked? Like,
Sure, yeah.
where it feels like demand for French, could it just be demand for kids to try to academically progress? You know, I just.
I
don't
do
know.
also think, I mean, I wasn't here when it started, but I feel like there's also something maybe with the state, like, we didn't just dream it up, so anyway, there's bigger, I don't have all the answers, but I do think what you're bringing up is perfect.
Caleb, did you bring up that at some point it has to be revisited?
Yeah, well, Dr. Gallagher and I were speaking on a house visit, that it is something that teacher learning is talking about, and we recognize that there are complexities and challenges, and we think that there might be some exciting solutions in the coming, years that we can propose to the board for change, but no change is easy, but I think there are opportunities to try to create some efficiencies in the programs. And I'm excited for teaching and learning to bring those forth to you in the coming. There's nothing that's being looked at for immediacy, but it is in the teaching and learning department. How can we do even better in our DLI program to support all students? It's being targeted.
I know we have a lot of kids in DLI in the French speaking schools, right? As a parent, my kid happens to be one that when they do DLI Spanish, right? And
Yeah.
he is fortunate to be in it, or he doesn't think he is fortunate to be in it. I probably would not have pushed in to do that if it was French, just because I think it's less useful here. So I'm curious, although we have a lot of kids definitely doing French DLI, is the application rate the same as the Spanish speaking schools?
I don't have that in front of me, that data. Go ahead.
Please go ahead.
Yeah.
I would say that, as far as the, just spitballing here, having seen kind of what the DLI applications come in on, because I kind of help manage a little bit of the data before it goes to the lottery committee. You get, it's a 50-50 split. Like it really truly is, 50% want French, 50% want Spanish. We very rarely have a spot that's free in either of the programs, whether it's French or Spanish.
Sounds like it needs more exploration and assessment.
Well, and I think that since you're new, you would appreciate maybe having a little bit more of the history, which I cannot speak to because, well, I'm the tech person that sits in the basement. We can certainly like.
Teaching and learning, some history and.
I mean, I can share a little bit as a parent who's been around since before it started. What we were told, so my kids were Jeremy kids. They were offered the opportunity, my older son was offered the opportunity to go into the lottery for the Spanish program, and we didn't take it because we didn't want to leave our neighborhood school. But when they added French, what we were told in the meeting that the district held for families to learn about the program was that it was I can't remember the exact rank, but it was way up there in the number of countries that use it. And they felt that it was used more frequently in business, and there was some data to support that. And the other piece was that it was difficult to get enough native Spanish speaking teachers, which I thought was odd. And perhaps not true, but. I'm not fabricating anything. It sounded to me, and perhaps not true. But that's how it was packaged to us, that this is the answer. I will tell you that my younger son did all the way through 9th grade in French DLI and did not pass the AP, and I don't be ashamed to say that, it was in the middle of COVID. And he opted to go into Spanish in high school, and so now he is acquiring a third language and having a great time with it, so.
2 students point, the multiple.
Right.
Well, and I will say that French and Spanish, since they both have that same
Their
Romance,
language.
Latin-based language, it's kind of funny because I speak a little bit of Spanish and I can understand a little bit of the French. Not a whole lot, but just enough. And there are like 60 different countries that speak French as their primary or secondary language.
And I'll just add that my older child did not get a fantastic foreign language education in Park City and is now a fluent Spanish speaker. So it's not a make or break on anything other than what their experience is day to day in the school that they're in. It's not I don't think it's a deciding factor of it, but it was great for us.
I think we'll continue, definitely some good questions raised, Stephen, and I think, we'd like some more information and data for the new board. So. Go ahead.
Can I just do one little framework? I can share, we're in the Trailside District, and the framework for our family, was just really specifically, and I think the reason I said it'd be really interesting to actually poll parents, would you prefer your child to be offered French or Spanish? Is that what we found at Trailside, and this actually yields a bit of an awkward cultural design there, is it tends to be often correlated with a general ambitiousness. And we chose for our child to do English in 1st grade. That English class, all English class, I believe was 19 students, I believe 12 of which were Spanish native speakers. And as part of the fun, this is just part of the fun, my son was in the class. There were 15 boys, 4 girls. So pre-elementary education. So
God bless that 1st grade teacher.
yes, right? And so that was just a framework where that French shows in popularity and kids can have an amazing education and is not my case I'm making. I'm more just asking for, hey, can we bring it up for a community analysis, maybe a poll and some way to say, hey, instead of just kind of like ongoing lethargy, just like, oh, we just did that, so we'll keep doing it. Kind of actually asking the question, getting a voice on it. If everyone voted French, I'd be like, yay, good for your vote. I'm not specifically, striding for Spanish per se, but rather that it reflect those students in the school.
I would ask to include teachers and employees as well.
Right.
Because we also see it.
We want to remember that we really value, particularly our faculty that's visiting from other countries and what they do for all of our students. We really value them. So I have already spoken to cabinet and said, in the timeline, can we realignment? With closing treasure and moving 8th and 9th grade. I believe that once we get that project under our belt, the next question will definitely include asking those questions about what is the will of the community as we move forward. But for the foreseeable future, we want to reassure our French-speaking families that we really value both our Spanish-speaking and our French-speaking faculty.
We do.
Yes,
Okay.
yes,
Yes.
it is on our timeline, okay, we will respond to whatever you ask us to do.
Super, thank you, Stacy. I appreciate you reasserting that because we have incredible educators that travel to our country that have not lived here, that bring their children, that have no exposure to what's happening here, and it's challenging for them as educators coming into our very different American paradigm of offering education that's different from where they've been teaching, and they do an amazing job. Care deeply and they embrace this community and we really do respect and appreciate everything that they do. So thank you. To be continued, Stephen. So, all right, Jess.
Hi. I'm Jess McCurdy, switching gears just a little bit to athletics. I'm a mom. I have 4 boys. We graduated from Park City High. I have a 9th grader right now. And I just wanted to thank all of you and introduce myself. I'm representing a committee of parents focusing on Park City High School athletics and all the sanctioned sports. And we were thrilled to see part of the master plan approved at the last board meeting. And so I'm here purely to let you guys know that we are here to support you, to work with you. Like I said, we have every sport represented on our committee by a parent who are very passionate about seeing improvements in our athletics and our facilities here in Park City and also following it very closely. So anything that we could do, we want to get to know you better. Same with you, Meredith and Nick. And we just hope that we can build a relationship, a positive relationship to see change in this community. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. That's it. Great, back to policies. Is there anything more? Oh, wait, no, we've got more other things, sorry. Okay, so we board meeting dates. Just with our new folks to look at the calendar going ahead and discussing how that works for us. So right now, our next scheduled meeting is February 11th. We've got March 18th, April 8th, May 20th, and June 17th. Is there any?
Only one I considered, I thought April 8th is right as we're flying, if we're going to the National School Board Association.
We are.
That,
I mean,
that is right as we
the day
close to getting back.
Or the day after.
That's between the Tuesday, right? And we'd be
Yeah.
back on the.
We usually come back on Sunday.
Well, Sunday.
Oh, okay, I thought
It
it was
usually wraps up.
Saturday, Sunday, Monday, I wasn't quite sure.
Sunday night,
Yeah.
but it is. Returning. My recommendation would be to keep it if there's not a conflict.
Okay.
What's
Next week
what's
is
the
spring
reason
break.
for that? Is, yeah, what's the following week? Why do we
Spring
do
break.
that?
Spring break.
Spring break is after that?
Yeah, it's the week after.
Um, I can make the work. I think the other conversation we wanted to have was around timing.
Yes.
Okay.
In terms of 4
Starting.
PM starts.
What are we doing now? But these, so for now, these dates are they're all good. And I know you've got something.
I'm good. I'm all set.
Are we comfortable to maintain? Starts, I know I'm supposed to be here until 7 PM, but I also know there is a sentiment to push them later, which makes a ton of sense for people to make different jobs.
Does it feel like a community now?
We can, yeah, the suggestion that we start at 5. I personally am keen to start with public comment, so we actually demonstrate that we care what the public has to say. Rather than at the end of the meeting after we've talked about things and made decisions, which has never made any sense, has it?
Yeah.
So that's.
I mean, we can do,
That's the
Randy had
conversation.
said too, where we have some work session time for the board. So, I mean, you know. Before everyone start. Then we will have time.
what would the work session consist of? Is that gonna be like employee reports
You
and
could
things
put
like that?
reports, and if you wanted to keep a 4 p.m. and if you were looking to, before any discussion or decisions were made, you know, we could just try to design it where, any reporting was done in that first hour. It doesn't mean that it's not public comment worthy, but it's not necessarily, it's just informational. Which is more work session type, and when the actual business side of the meeting could have input first, that could be a model. That wouldn't require a time change necessarily. We could just try to create efficiencies at the beginning. On the consent agenda, that doesn't have to be first, does that mean? So, you know, if there's a desire to have a good comment, because any decision we could just say is after public comment. But an hour, we don't always have an hour worth
We
of
don't.
reports. But some days we have more than.
That's true too.
I think we're now restricted to 1 hour reports.
No pressure.
Right.
Yeah, no, I like the, I don't, I mean, again, I don't think we're gonna be here until 7 or 8 p.m.
No,
Some weeks, so I like the idea of working session at 4 and then push all of the decision items after 5, after public comment. That makes sense to me, but I am but one of 5.
So when we were talking about trying to make it for the board meeting, so that things that the public might be most interested in, namely an opportunity to make public comment. And then presentations like the survey could be toward the end, so working parents could get here. As opposed to starting at 4, and so we would do our work first and then have publics at the end of the meeting. Or second half of the meeting, right?
The work.
We would work 4 to 5.
Still, if people want to show.
Right,
Still,
absolutely,
okay.
all of it's public, everything. I mean, unless it's closed
But
session,
for
everything is-
people who work and
Right.
people who can't get here at 4, they could still come and make public comment
Correct.
and not have missed anything.
So we wanna try to give that a go and.
If you want to do it that way, we can just leave the time at 4 there. That's something the board can change it later.
Okay.
But we can try to work under that structure. You know, it might be a situation where. We find that we're sitting here for 30 minutes and then we decide we're gonna start the meeting at 4:30. But that can be something we can work on structurally as.
Presumably have some idea month to month, right?
Of
whether
what-
we
yeah,
have-
I mean-
We do, and that's another thing that can be considered, if the goal is to start the public comment at 5. And keep that as a solid structure, as long as we're notifying in advance when we're starting our work portion, the reporting portion, that can fluctuate a little bit. And if you just want the public to know, hey, you can come at 5,
Discussion and
you
decision
can make
items.
comments, and then our discussions, our decisions follow that. So that, and if we can work to stay firm on that, we can flex the work session time a little bit. You don't like starting it, but if it's 4:30, because we just don't have a lot of reports, I don't think anyone's necessarily complaining about that either.
Well, that works for me.
So let's just try to do it in our
Give that a
structure of the
go,
agenda.
yeah.
Okay.
So we're leaving the calendar as it's planned.
Next meeting will be at 4, but unless reports come, and then when we meet for our agenda planning meeting, we'll. Inform the board, hey, we're gonna go 4:30 and really try to put the public information out there. If you wanna come and see the business side of the meeting, come at 5. If you want all the reports, you can come early, but if you want the business side, 5 o'clock public.
Right.
comment.
So,
Yes. Super, okay, moving on to. Board committee assignments. So we have currently. Nick is on the audit committee.
Which is the funnest committee.
That's
laugh a minute.
With numbers.
We did only meet once in 2 years. So
I mean, if that's
Great
not a
party,
party, I don't know. what it is.
Yeah, I would question whether we potentially should. be more, but,
Should be once annually.
Yeah.
Oh, once annually. I'm actually on the Chamber of Commerce committee now. I was just voted on by their board to be on their advisory board, so. Okay.
And these are not,
Nick, you got audit and insurance?
I did.
Oh my God, you are hogging. Oh.
Yeah.
Wow. Let somebody else have a turn. Yeah. Okay, I have been trying to do JLC, I'm gonna go, but I feel like that's whoever wants to pile on, you know. This is the joint legislative committee with the Utah School Boards Association and the Superintendent's Association, and certainly we work with our other partners in this as well. I know that you've expressed interest in being more present at the legislature. If you want to be the actual liaison on that committee, that'd be great. All right, we got a taker.
Weekly for the next several months.
Yeah.
Description. Well, I don't think I'm great. This year, I don't think I'm gonna be free.
Okay, you don't
that
have
much.
Yeah, okay, that's
That's
fine.
the problem.
We can, because, so the joint legislative committee meets every Friday at Granite School District.
Granite School District, 11:30,
11:30.
it's 11 or 11:30.
Yeah, just hard for me too, this.
Would you like to?
But,
Susan?
I
can.
they do also,
Because it's Saturday, Fridays.
they send out information
Yeah.
as well following the meetings.
Used to be getting that as board members.
Right,
as
that's
well.
to all of us.
But all board members are welcome.
Yeah.
You'll see board members, superintendents, BAs there. You'll see some other groups there as well. And basically, there's voting members of the JLC, and they put stamps on each bill that they discuss. Sometimes they'll have legislators come in and speak, whether by Zoom or in person, so. this
They
is
have a
following
bill
the session.
tracker, that we can see what's going on.
That's just on the legislative website.
Yeah, well, again, Monday morning is, if you're free Monday morning, join me down there, we'll be on the hill early. They're trying to advocate for good things for public education.
The JLC's bill tracker, I think, is on the
Yeah,
USBA side.
There,
Right?
Oh, so.
Different from what the state office does and what we have at the legislature.
there's a number.
There's a lot of
Could you, like, do a small description of these committees so we know where we could possibly fit and then the time frame. You know, Mondays, yeah, because I have other things to do besides this.
I'll give you my best staff, Lori might be able to add some
Or maybe
context as
Lori.
well.
Yeah.
And
Just
these
send
are
it
not
to us.
necessarily, you just want us to send you an outline of each one? Or do you
You
want
know,
me to
just
talk to
send
you?
it to me, but you
Correct, yeah.
just an email, doesn't have to be a long deal, but here's what this committee does. So we're matching the right person with the right skill set, and then the frequency of the meeting. Because I'm just speaking for myself, I have conflicts with at least one of the committees that was mentioned.
Yeah.
So,
We can work on producing that.
And you're with Park City.
yeah, I'll do Park City Education Foundation. And then open to where I'm needed after that.
And I can take on the child nutrition task force.
That would seem to be an intro. No pressure.
As Susan was saying, some background and
Sure.
information and how much they meet and where.
And some of them, may be meeting regularly and I cannot, and some of them, I'll have to do some.
Non-existent,
Are
yes.
not regular meetings.
Or maybe there are new
Or,
ones.
or as needed.
Yeah, that's probably
The
a
other fact
conversation I'd
is,
like to have, do we have the right?
Right,
voices
yeah.
here?
these don't, yeah, there's not an obligation, there's a couple of them, for example, the Education Foundation is part of an MOU. City Dr. Gallagher, that's great, and that's something we're obligated to have a board member part of. Others are just some of the things that have happened, there's not necessarily a mandated requirement. You know, we do need on the professional agreements, all of those types of negotiations, those are critical that we have members there, and those are in the negotiation seasons are.
Well, maybe you could put stars on those.
Yeah.
You know, we must have somebody, this is
Okay.
mandatory.
We'll work
I'll
on,
put it together.
we'll work on getting that out to you, next year.
We also, I don't think that.
I don't know.
We have no idea what regional
What that is,
recreation
but the
master
student on the
planning-
board liaison, presumably that ties into the conversation we were having with Caleb about how we actually. Embrace more fully the student on the board role and actually get student input into.
That was a board member that attended the student council meetings. So, you can contact Jessica Lemieux and that the superintendent.
That one kind of rotated.
And those are options that can
Yeah.
exist, right, depending on the structure, it
Yeah.
doesn't.
And I think that would be good to have it changed, you know, not have to be this one person, but have.
Especially for something like that.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
let's think about what the right structure for that
Well,
is, so that we can really get the student voice.
And also, aren't there council meetings that aren't on this list that we want to have influence over and share?
Council.
I don't know, but some of the councils in Park City, I think would love to have consistent input from, students. I read in KPCW just this week that they were bringing student input into design of some traffic corridors and things up at Kimball. So I think there's some other things that if the conversation would go a different way. It's not just educational focus, perhaps. I don't know. I'm just, like you said, Nick, is this this composite list, the only list, the complete list?
No, that's your discretion, right? So within the board's desire, you can create committees. These are some of the historic
Right.
committees that have existed and
But
some
maybe
are
some
more.
valuable.
Correct.
Yeah, that's what I think.
I just was curious on how you become a committee with a board member, that's part of it.
Right.
How you become a.
How do you?
Like, if we wanted to say, put an athletic committee or an athletic master plan task force, how do we get on that list?
So I think that I would recommend you reach out to, if you want to be a board advised committee, you could put it out on that. You could email board members and request that they have a committee to address this. In the given time, where are we at in the master athletic plan right now? We are full speed ahead. You just approved the architect and general contractor, which allows us to continue to hit our aggressive timelines. Which our goal is to have the baseball and softball field potentially a little bit more ready to roll for the fall of the 25-26 school year. And then a continued aggressive timeline, and then once we got through that, question would be, what is the board's appetite for continuing the master athletic plan? Because there's more. But when that decision was made, I think the board said, let's get through this. It's a different board now, but let's get through this step. And then there's clearly still appetite in the community for more. How much, what that funding mechanism is, those are some really big questions that probably aren't gonna be solved today.
Is that what the recreational master plan is?
We don't know what that is.
So.
I just have down there, I don't know, my name's on there.
Something that's usable then?
Yeah, right.
There are a lot of committees on here that board members didn't go to, right?
Well, they may not have ever met.
Right.
So whether, and yes, there are other.
It's not like I should go.
And there are other committees that may have met and there may have been conflicts.
Yeah, there's a lot of history there.
Yeah, I think there is a wider context around whether these are actually the
Right.
committees. Also, I think, we're trying to schedule the second part of the board retreat to talk about like vision and goals and whatever. And I would think that the committees to some extent should be tied to our priorities.
Right, so, because we talk about more community presence, and does that mean someone's going to the Park City Council meeting?
Absolutely,
Right.
absolutely.
So we have work to do.
Reach out.
We have
You're telling me to reach out. Is that
If it's a board committee, that would always be my recommendation. If we are, there's situations where the board tasks us with work. And we make a committee at that point, and then that's typically ran by, there's a director or a cabinet member who's gonna oversee whatever that committee is. That can be a different scenario as well, but right now,
So we're gonna talk about this some more.
Yeah, and if we can just get an overview of what these are and.
Yeah, when.
And if they've met, and if they've not met. And
yeah, and that's fair.
Other
We can
things.
try to work on that for you.
Yeah,
great, thank you.
Okay. So the community service.
So Leah was unable to attend.
Oh.
I know, there's pretty much hope for a good outcome here. No, she was awesome. So I'm happy to go through the slides if you want me to do that, or if you want to just talk about them, okay. So we got those up, all right, so I'll try to I won't do as well as you, so I apologize ahead of time.
We are fortunate that we have already had access to this, but we thought it was also important that it was discussed in this forum, so other people actually got the full breakdown.
So we'll talk about methodology, the survey results, and then open up to questions, non-data questions. Leah's not here, so. Anyway, the survey went from December 18th to January 12th. Through Qualtrics, we had 1,043 community responses. There were 8 survey questions, and the key areas that were covered included affiliation with Park City School District and grade level association, priorities for the district, and they were asked, those taking the survey were asked to identify and rank those. They were also asked to identify and rank the desired characteristics and attributes in a superintendent. They were also asked to select preferred methods of communication for hiring updates. And then there was additional considerations for the hiring process, and there was an open response. At the end were several, I want to say 11 pages or whatever comments were provided. 12 pages. Okay, all right, thank you. Response demographics on the next slide. This part equals 100%. Everybody that took the survey was required to select one. So you can see those percentages. By far, the largest percentage is parents at 48%. That's the equivalent of 500 surveys taken. Staff was at 23% and students were at 22%. So we had over 200 students that participated in the survey as well. The grade levels represented, you can see those on that slide. Those amounts do not equal to 100 because if I've got multiple kids in the system, I can select the different grades, right, for where the kids were. So interesting that the higher percentages really were in the secondary area, taken of the results. Okay, so the first was talking about community priorities, safe and welcoming environment for all students. 52 of the survey takers listed that as something important to them. But student safety actually had the #1 rank most often as they put those in order. And so those percentages you see below on the slide are really the percentages of the number of respondents that selected that as an important. So, where are you? So you can see the results here. This is just a graph showing the same thing that was on the previous slide, just in a graphical format rather than a picture format. If we go to the next one, though, you can see student safety had the largest number of #1 responses in a 1 through 5 setting. They had to choose their top 5, and then the safe and welcoming environment for all students had the second highest. So kind of interesting that you got one that had a higher percentage, but you had another one that had a lower percentage, but there were more #1 scores. That was a higher priority for those survey takers. Okay, going to the next page, superintendent characteristics and attributes. So leadership skills was the one that was pinged the most from those taking the survey, 59%. But the #1, the one that received the most #1 selections was the moral character overall. So interesting, go to the slide that has the results in graphical format. You can see that there with leadership skills at the top, and then the next graph shows how they were ranked. So moral character had the majority of the most #1 votes in this process. So kind of interesting. The board discussed this in more detail during the retreat as far as some of these results. Preferred method. This particular graph, how would you like to be kept up to date on the hiring process? We had anywhere from district newsletter, which led it, district newsletter and district website, down to I do not need to be kept up to date on the hiring process at 14%. So a little variety there. How they selected that. They could select more than one. So you see that as a higher than 100%. If you were to add those up, so they could select multiple ways to do that. So, and then on the open response theme, those have been kind of categorized by Leah with community engagement connection, interim superintendent, proven leadership, all the way down. You can see the count is the number of how many times it's been pinged on the survey. So community engagement connection 72 times. And then as she read through those, she put a little summary here is what she read mostly on those responses. And there, I didn't count the responses, but there were a lot of responses, so.
Yeah,
Okay.
they said about half the people actually left the,
Yeah. That's not an open response.
It was a lot, yeah.
So that was good feedback. Good participation really for a survey like this. Overall.
Amazing, yeah, I'm thrilled with the response rate.
So happy to answer any questions.
And Leah is a star. For
Leah was
I mean,
awesome.
She got this, did her magic and.
Yeah, the Parks and School Communications team did a
Yes.
good job with it out, so.
And I just, yeah, I think this was a useful endeavor for us and for the community to make sure that we're in alignment with what our community expects for the next step.
Good start. Good start.
Let's see if it's something.
Yeah. Any other?
That time to digest.
Yeah.
The,
Good information.
Just out of curiosity, is there a time frame for when the new superintendent will be hired?
We don't have one set like this.
as soon as we can complete the process.
Yeah. Okay, so moving on to policies for posting. Anytime you want to need to say.
So just list the policies for posting, entertain a motion to post those policies. For an open reading, 30-day review, so it's called 20-day review.
Okay.
That people can respond.
So we've got policy 55010 inventory control use of district equipment, policy 9010 curriculum courses 6 through 8, policy 9075 promotion, retention and remediation. Policy 9105 animals in the classroom, policy 9106 service animals in schools and other buildings, and policy 10106 students with life-threatening allergies.
Not having connected.
No, we're not. Can I get a motion to post the policies as stated?
I make a motion to post the policies.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. And now we have policies for adoption. I have policy 4006 cash management procedures, policy 5005 building access and security, policy 7040 extra duty assignments, policy 9080 graduation credits, and policy 10005 entrance age. Can I get a motion for adoption of these stated policies?
I make a motion to adopt the policies as stated.
Second.
We always check with Lori to see if there was public. comment.
Oh, was there any public? Okay, thank you. Any discussion on these policies for adoption? Can I get a motion to approve the policies as stated? Oh, did we?
Yeah, we
Oh,
did
right,
that.
sorry,
We did
okay. All in favor? Aye. Okay. Now, we don't have to keep. Move on. Okay, so I think we've covered all the things. Moved up public comment. All right, this will adjourn the regular session of the Park City School Board of Education until our next meeting on February 11th.
Do we need a motion for that one or just agree?
It's a mixed bag.
I'm calling it.